what is this thing? It's in Toy Story 3, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Wallace and Gromit, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Phantom of the Opera, The Simpsons, Pawn Stars, tons of other things. This monkey has appeared in movies, television, video games, and if you look into it, all you're going to find is that it was made in the 1950s by a company named Daishin CK. And that's kinda true, but not really. To get the real story, we have to go back to the 1850s with Italian immigrants coming into the United States, and they would often turn to a career named organ grinding.
Of course, it's the organ grinder and Miko the monkey. Mr. Russo cranks his organ, and Miko collects pennies from the children and puts them in his pocket. What fun to watch the monkey. It's fun for Miko, and for Mr. Russo, too. But it's also work. For you see, Miko helps Mr. Russo earn money this way. Miko does tricks, too.
This took a pretty strong hold as a visual trope, even after it was banned in 1935, and around the same time, monkeys were also being depicted as bellhops for some reason. But the two tropes with organ grinders and bellhops may not be relevant, but for some reason they actually did combine later on, so we're not sure where the bellhop thing comes from. But anyway, the organ grinder thing is real, and that's what happened. It actually got turned into a toy, and the first example of this is actually from 1925 with Louis Marx's Hoppo the Waltzing Monkey. But the earliest documentation for this actually dates back to 1932, so take the 1925 release date with a grain of salt. Hoppo is a tin toy monkey with a bellhop uniform that clangs a set of cymbals when wound. But this was only the beginning for monkey toys, so this was a very popular toy for the next few decades, and this little Hoppo toy would inspire many iterations, such as the musical chimp in 1954. The musical chimp is a lot easier to look at. He's far more friendly and cuddly and actually has fur, and he makes an appearance in 1955's Rebel Without a Cause. More toys were coming out in the late 1950s, and they just kept growing. They were wobbling back and forth, and they had remotes, and they came in little bands, and they had different instruments, and in the mid-60s, Galoob came out with their own version, and then this version was actually used in a drug PSA in the 70s that's actually credited as one of the first screamers. It wasn't until 1972 that we got this iconic, weirdly unnerving, terrifying, nasty little thing. This is Naughty Susie by Bandai. In the United States, it's actually Musical Jolly Chimp by Daishin CK, retailing at a whopping $6.97, or in today's money, $50. Battery powered, you turn on the switch and it clangs its cymbals just like Hoppo, but this time if you hit its head, it gives you a disgusting glare. Origins of this are a little fuzzy. It's not known if Bandai was actually the designer or if it was just a distributor for its first release in Japan. In the United States, the toy is labeled CK and Daishin, meaning that they're actually two separate companies. CK, or the Kuramochi company, likely produced these themselves, and Daishin was only involved for a very brief period, probably just in distribution, and their name is only present for its first debut release. Kuramochi later produced it themselves through to the 1980s. This design really sold seemingly everywhere for over a decade, and it was the subject of Stephen King's 1980 short story The Monkey, which was later then turned into a movie called The Devil's Gift without permission.
Take a look. First one coming up is called The Devil's Gift. Oh, now this is a real kind of scary one, but you don't know it because, well, look, they look like a typical walking around suburban type family, you know? Till somebody throws a monkey wrench into the whole action here. Whoa! Holy, oh yeah, and all kinds of terrible things happen.
That's unnatural.
Oh, tell me about it, yeah.
And it is being turned into a movie again, this time with permission this year, with the same name of The Monkey. The same jump scare from the 1970s PSA was used again in the trailer for the movie Monkey Shines. Kuramochi seems to have taken over quickly after Bandai's own release in Japan and also created a few spin-off toys. These toys were Dancing Mary Chimp and Electric Cheetah. Yes, that translates to Electric Cheetah. Dancing Mary Chimp had different dance moves assigned to the buttons you would press, and an Electric Cheetah hung from a pole would do little acrobat moves and would do the same disgusting glare as his little sister.
One, watch it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over he goes.
Electric Cheetah has the name Toyodoya on it, but that's actually just another name for Kiramochi. It's not actually known how long these lasted, but this seems to have disappeared pretty quick after release. It's not actually known how long Kiramochi was making Jolly Chimp. It seems to have swapped hands a few times over its production and changed clothes with these different companies. We have no idea who made them. In the UK, it was actually known as Charlie Chimp and being produced by Lincoln International. By the 1980s, a new company, Shin-Chi, took over using Kiramochi's design. But over time, that faded out too, and then Shin-Chi started using their own designs that were new and a little more approachable and maybe a little more endearing. From the late 80s through to the 2010s, it was being picked up again and again by other tiny companies and renamed Charlie Chimp, Mr. Monkey, Magic Monkey. Charlie Chimp actually had a pretty long life.
Charlie the Chimp. Bop Charlie on the head and hear him screech and watch
And it had its own website and only faded away by the early 2010s. By that time in Japan, it had been picked up as Curious Cymbal-kun by Yamane, something they actually still seem to make. It doesn't seem they actually make this toy anymore in the United States, but you can still buy the little tiny versions. One of them dates back to the company Tomy making them in the 80s. This design is so popular, it continues to permeate movies, a tattooed skin. You can actually buy ornaments of this thing. There's shirts of it, there's patches of it. It's actually in your local Spirit Halloween as a giant animatronic. Honestly, after all of this information, the shocking part is we actually still don't know who designed this one, or really any of them. There's no patents, not even for Hoppo. They hardly need trademark information, and the sad part is that that information probably is never going to come to light. Unfortunately, the mystery of who actually created this thing continues to only be a mystery.